In this video, you're going to learn everything you need to know to build a great defense. Everything from the 3 main coverages you should be running, how to take away specific routes, and even how to set up a really good blitz. Regardless of your current skill level, this video's goal is to add value to you and to make you a better defensive player. So, if that's something you're interested in, let's get into it. So before we even choose a defense, we need to actually go into our coach adjustments because this is absolutely huge. So we're going to click the right stick in, and I'm going to give myself 60 seconds to get through all of this stuff. Make sure you feel free to rewind or pause this at any point. 60 seconds starts right now. Auto flip defensive play call. We want to have this on. This is going to make sure the strength of our defense matches the strength of the offense. So if they're strong right, we're going to be strong right as well. Cornerback matchups, we're going to leave this at balanced because honestly, these other ones are all just kind of bugged. If you mess with them, you'll see some very weird alignment things happen. Leave it at balance. You're not going to lose anything by having it at balance. Defensive motion response, we're going to have this at default. That's going to make sure when they motion, we are going to move with them and not get out leveraged. Option defense read key is going to be conservative. When they run read options, I personally want my players to play the quarterback and let them hand it off into the teeth of the defense. If you wanted that reverse though, and you wanted the quarterback to be the one who can keep it, put it on aggressive. Now for option defense pitch key, running a long time, I want this on conservative because these are flipped, and focus on QB on the option actually means focus on the running back on the option for this, and that's what I want. Strip ball bounce, tackling bounce, zone drops default, curl flats 25, hooks to default. This is my base, but all 3 of these are subject to change based on the coverage we're running. Timer's pretty much up. So when choosing a defensive formation, a lot of people are going to try telling you that you need to match personnel, right? If they go heavy, we got to go into a heavy set. And if they go light, we got to spread ourselves thin and also go light. That is not true in video game football. And I'm telling you that not as like a, oh, whatever. Like, I've played competitive Madden for 5-6 years now. I've been a top ranked player every single year. I've won tens of thousands of dollars. And I'm telling you, in video game football, we can defend 5 wide from 3-4, and we can defend I-form tight from 3-2-6 or 2-3-6, whatever. Like, we can do both of those things. So what we want to instead look for in a defensive formation is something that can do everything for us, right? Something that can defend the run, that can play good coverage and give us all the coverage options we need, and also has a solid blitz out of it, okay? I think a really good starting point is nickel. And especially, it's nice also for the personnel people because nickel's usually used as a base defense for a lot of teams anyways. So there you go. But I think nickel's a great starting point because usually these have decent blitzes. They have good run defense and you're able to do a lot of coverage stuff out of them. So we're going to start with the nickel 3-3 over. Although in your playbook, it might be something different. I just think this is a great starting point. Nickel something. All right. So with that being said, now we have an idea of what formation we want to choose. What plays do we want to call? I think the best starting point for play call is one of these 3, and they're all very basic zone coverages. I'll explain why. First is Tampa 2. This is just going to be a cover 2 based defense. The next one is actually going to be cover 3. Now this will be called cover 3 sky. Every playbook has this. Every formation has this. And then the last one is going to be cover 4 quarters, but it's going to be cover 4 quarters as drop coverage, not match coverage. I'll explain why here. So when it comes to choosing coverages, especially at a starting out point, what I think people will do a way better job with is when they have a good understanding of where all of their players are playing. And the issue with something like match coverage in College Football 25 or in Madden is that match, truthfully, one is very complex on a real life level, right? If you're a coach, if you're somebody who knows real life ball, you know match is very complex. Like it can get into a lot of different intricate rules that are very hard to replicate in a video game. And with that being said, video game match is a little bit different than real life match. Not always able to mimic the rules exactly, and it leads to a lot of busted coverages. And what that also means is that you don't know where your defenders are going as a defensive player, okay? I love things like cover 3 sky, Tampa 2, cover 4 quarters as drop coverage, because when I look at this play art, I know where every player is going. I know this hook curl right here, he's going to play around right here. And I know this guy right here is going to play around here. I know this deep half's going to play here. I know this outside cloud is going to play around right here, right? That's what I love. Whereas something like, we get into more match-based right here. Let's see if I can, well, actually just call a timeout and go into match. My issue with it is that you don't know where a lot of your players are going, and you have to learn how these guys all match onto various route concepts, right? And so right here, I'm in a match-based defense. And actually, this probably won't match because I have zone drops off. But I like being able to know where all my players are going. And I think a huge disadvantage people do is that they call defenses and they don't know what anyone's doing, and they'll never get stops doing that, okay? That's why I think these 3 basic coverages of cover 3 sky, Tampa 2, and cover 4 quarters as drop coverage is huge. Now, to make sure cover 4 quarters is drop and not match, and drop, by the way, just means that they'll play exactly where the zones are, is that you just want to have one of your zone drops on, okay? If you put these all at default, this is going to play actual match coverage. Quarters will. If you put this at 20 or anything, it doesn't. It could be any of these, right? They will play drop coverage, okay? And if you don't know what match is, by the way, match essentially is a hybrid between zone and man, where you have matching principles where someone will like essentially match onto a certain route. Again, it's just easily exploitable in game. That's why I don't recommend it to a lot of people. And I do ask, if you've gotten any value from this at all, consider hitting the subscribe button. It is free and it helps out this channel get pushed to more college football players, and it will help them get better at the game as well. So just everybody's able to have more fun and enjoy playing the game. I think that is a huge deal, but each of these 3 defenses has a major weakness. So if we look at cover 2, or also known as Tampa 2, there's one major weakness in this, and it's going to be this hole shot in the top right of your screen, or really just outside the cloud flap, up and out, and outside the half. So let's see if we can actually recreate this right here on the right side with double streaks. And we'll see if we can throw this. You can kind of see that area, and you can imagine if that ball was even further to the sideline, that's going to be a tough ball to defend. And a really good example of this would be like a corner route can actually do a really good job against this. Let's go here. Boom, we have cover, we have a cloud flat, and we'll just go basic flood concept to the right, and let's see what happens. Boom, we're actually able just to attack underneath that cloud flat. So we're really able to attack the sideline when we're going up against cover 2. But what's nice about cover 2 is that the entire middle is really, really accounted for, right? And you know where they're accounted for, right? We have hook curl right here, hook curl right here, hook curl right here. So if you're playing somebody who's attacking the middle of the field a ton, I love cover 2. But if you're playing somebody who's really doing a good job of taking those deep shots to the deep sideline, hitting you in your flats a lot, cover 2 might be something we have to get out of. And if we got out of cover 2, what I would go to is cover 3 sky. Now, cover 3 sky is really, really cool because if we shade our coverage underneath, this is going to do a good job of taking away a lot of different corner routes, and this will do a good job of taking away flats, right? If we do this kind of same idea, to throw this corner out, it's going to be a little bit harder. You have to get a good pass lead. You have to really like be a pretty decent player to pass lead this correctly, and we have that hard flat taken away. Now, cover 3, though, the biggest weakness we have here is the seams. You see this middle third? He is responsible for the entire middle. So this guy is really susceptible to something like this, a streak from RB, right? Like that is, he's very susceptible to that. Now, if your opponent isn't running that stuff, you're fine. But if he is, that's going to give you some more issues. But cover 3 is probably the best of both worlds because it has 2 hook curls and it has 3 deep zones, right? Now, cover 4, let's go into this now, is going to be the most susceptible in the underneath middle. It's going to do a good job on the sidelines because it has that cover 3 aspect with the outside deep zone, but it's a quarter this time. And then in the seam, it'll also do a better job because it has this inside quarter. So we go again to the seam, try throwing that this time, and it's going to be a much tougher throw. We're able to fit it in still. You could maybe move that guy down to help you some, but it's going to help you a good amount. Okay, but again, now in the middle of the field, intermediate middle, you are totally responsible for everything. So very easy to attack. So you have give and take on everything, right? One of my favorite mix-ins, and this is kind of a bonus tip for coverage, is bumping into cover 2 man. Where do we have a cover 2 man play here? Give me a cover 2 man, cover 2 man. There we go, cover 2 man. And this is actually going to do a really good job if you press, because what we're going to see here is that this, like, we're going to have all of our guys trail, and we're going to get bump coverage on everybody with safety help over top. It's really, really nice. Just the issue is, on defense, you don't always know where everybody's going to go, and that's really important for the next thing I'm going to talk about. So I talked about how cover 3 is really susceptible in the seams, right? And every defense has its own weakness, but what if throws away to do absolutely nothing different coverage-wise, but take away that weakness? And the way we're going to do that is by utilizing our user. Now, so many people love to user control one of these defensive linemen, and you can sometimes get some really nice auto sheds, and we actually dominate on the left side right there, and do some cool things. But I'm telling you, from years of trying different things and years of experience, the best thing we can do is user a hook curl in the middle of the field, one of these yellow zones. We don't really want to user a deep blue because that's a lot of responsibility, although I do have something later on this. And we don't really want to use a flat zone because they're kind of, I don't know, I just don't like to do them, but you could, I guess. The hook curl's awesome. If we do a good job, we can like change the game. If we do a bad job, we're not hurting that much. Because look, let's pretend they've thrown that seam a few times, but this time I'm usering this guy. Boom, they go to throw that seam again, and now I'm able to get an interception, and people will make that throw. And the thing is that if we're able to force turnovers, even if we blow coverage in the middle sometimes, turnovers is what wins games, and your user is the biggest player on the field who can force turnovers, right? Because now, imagine, they've done that a few times, but this time, let's just say, they keep on throwing a corner route, right? Let's just say that. They're throwing a corner route every single play. They keep on throwing it. Let's see. Boom. Cool. Well, this time, dude. Oh, corner route? Well, I'm just going to user up there, and now my user's able to get into the play up there and almost get a pick. What I just showcased is that your user is the most versatile player. He can go to this side, all the way up top. He can defend the right flat, or he could carry, let's say they're running a crosser, right? Oh, RB's on a crosser. I'm going to carry him all the way across the field, right? And then be able to get a user pick on the sideline. That's something else we can do. Now, the biggest thing with the user is knowing where your defense is weak, because you don't want a user where you're already having a zone defender. So if I went cover 3 and I decide to put hard flats on the field, which these hard flats will defend the very aggressive flats right at the line of scrimmage, and they put an out route from A right here, do I need to user this out route? Not really. Like, we already have a dude there, right? And that's why I talk about match and man coverage being a little bit tough, because you don't know where your players are, which means you don't know where to user. So your most important defender on the field, you're just kind of left like a chicken with his head cut off. It's tough, and I'm in that situation all the time when I try those defenses. It's very hard for me to do, right? So instead, I'm saying, oh, I'm in cover 3. Well, I know I'm susceptible in the seam. So if they run a seam route, oh, I'm there. And then, actually, let me go back to the middle right here for that slant coming across, right? The biggest thing we could do pre-snap is trying to guess what routes they're going to run based off the formation they're in, based off their previous tendencies, and then try to pair that with where are we weak, right? Where are we weak? If this guy has thrown a corner route 10 times this game, well, then maybe I should be expecting a corner route. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe I should just start expecting a corner route and then get there with my user. That's a huge thing. Don't let if someone keeps on throwing the same route, start using that route. So many people don't do it. Oh, you want to keep throwing this corner route, buddy? I'm just going to use the corner, and now I have a chance to make the play. Same thing with post route, same thing with the curl, etc., etc. Your user, most important player on defense. And it's going to feel weird at first, but dang, will this win you a lot of games, man. And I want to point out when I'm usering, I'm only using the left stick until I'm in a direction and I want to sprint with the right trigger. I don't really catch myself strafing too much, and when I go for a pick, I usually will hold Y and not tap Y, okay? So make sure you are only holding the right trigger when you're actually trying to sprint in a direction. I personally don't strafe, and then I hold Y to try to catch a pick. So when I'm calling this cover 3, you actually see me consistently turning these purple curl flats into hard flats right here. And I'll show you this really fast, actually, where we actually have the ability, once you get good at this stuff, to like totally change what the defense looks like. Now that is actually a visual bug, but nonetheless, we have the ability to do a bunch of really cool stuff with our coverage. And the way we do this is by doing something called quick adjusting, okay? Because we can turn any coverage into whatever we want. Now I'm gonna give you a super brief rundown of quick adjusting, but this is something that is vital for you to get better at playing defense. Quick adjustments, okay? So Y or triangle is going to take over your coverage adjustments. We can do things like press with the left stick. We can do things like give cushion. We could shade our coverage underneath, which is going to make us have hard flats on the field and get all of our zones to play a little bit more aggressive. Or we could shade our coverage over top, which is going to get them to play a little bit further back. It's pretty self-explanatory, okay? Now, shading inside and outside really doesn't have much of an effect on zones, but it does for man coverage if you wanted to shade inside or outside based on what routes you thought might be coming. You can get really nerdy with that stuff, and it can have a slight impact on zones, but it really, I've never cared about inside-outside for zones, okay? So wire triangle is coverage. Now, if we go left on the D-pad, it's going to be D-line. We can pinch, spread, shift left, shift right, or we can choose where to slant them. And slanting is just pretty common sense. If you think it's going to be a run to the right, you can slant right. If you think run to left, slant left, etc., etc. We can go linebackers by going right on the D-pad. And that's going to bring up the similar idea, but then we can blitz all linebackers. We can blitz just one of them, or we can zone out all of our linebackers, and that's right on the D-pad. What's cool here, though, is that all of those by single tapping is like group adjustments, right? We shift linebackers, all the linebackers shift. We shift our D-line, the entire D-line shifts. But if we double tap the button, we can then make individual adjustments. And this is where it gets a little bit more complex. So if we were to double tap wire triangle, we can actually then select a defender. So let's say I want to put that defender on the right, A. Let's say I want to put him in a curl. So I'm going to press A, and then I can actually put him in a vertical hook. And now my cover 3 has a vertical hook right there. And that's how you can get into some pretty cool coverages, because picture something like this, where, you know, we want to turn this cover 2 and blitz people, right? But now I actually don't want to do this anymore. Let's say I want to do something like this. We turn it into more of a cover 2 look. See what I'm saying? We can do some pretty cool thing. Let's say I want to spy out my entire defensive line. We can do that. That's where it gets pretty cool, but it's pretty advanced. What I highly recommend you understand is the shading over top and underneath, pressing, and then pinching your defensive line and slanting them in different directions. A big example where this can play a factor is, let's say this was 4th and 1 right now, and I was really worried about them running the ball to the middle, and I was worried about a quick pass to the flats. So I might press my coverage, right? Get my guys right up on them. I'm going to shade my coverage underneath so that I get hard flats, and I'm worried about a run in the middle too, right? It's 4th and 1. So I'm going to pinch my defensive line, and I'm going to slant them inside. My line's already pinched. And now we're going to have a better chance of blowing up that run in the middle. And let's see what happens if we actually call it here. Let's go. Snap it. Snap it. Set the ball. Boom. And we actually like totally come free. That might be a good defense right there, actually. But you can kind of see, right? Or 4th and 20, I actually want to back my boys up, and then we're going to play over top and get more cushion, right? A couple of real life examples. Or, on one more, I know he's not attacking the right flat, but he wants to attack that seam. I put this guy into a vert hook, and I don't even care about the right flat anymore, because I know he's not attacking it based off his tendencies or formation or something like that. Just a couple of actual examples that I use to make these small adjustments. So when talking run defense, there's actually something really cool in this game that we can do on the offensive side of the ball called seeing our run blocking. So if we hold left trigger and push left on the right stick, we can actually see our run blocking. And you see my user right here is being blocked, right? He's moving around, he's being blocked. But what if we back up 9 yards or so? He's not blocked. They don't see him anymore. This is called hiding. This has been a thing for a long time in Madden and has made its way into College Football 25. And it's just it's just a thing with the offensive line logic. It's annoying when you're on offense, and there are ways to counter this. But this one, the easiest just run defenses you can do is just back up your user, and then you just have to come downhill and make the tackle. And you see, they will pretty much never really see you. This is one of the easiest things to do from nearly any formation that has a, or like really any defense, like really. I like this from 4-down lineman sets, but it's a really easy thing you can do. And this idea works for under center as well. It's a little bit sketchier going on sideline runs because the wide receivers get a little bit more involved. But let's see if we can get a single back, and we will go to let's go to a dive call, or let's go to a stretch call first. And when I go up against under center runs, I actually really like cover 3 sky. And the reason I like this is because it is a single high shell where we can hop on this deep safety. We have to be a little careful, but we can get this deep safety involved in the run game. So if we actually start out with a zone split weak, we can see that we don't get blocked, and we're way up here, which means that when they call this play, we're able to come down. And if we do get blocked, like we did right there, because we're bringing an extra guy into the box and into the play, we get somebody else unblocked, like you also saw right there, right? Now with a stretch run, with any kind of outside run, like we have here, what I like to do is really try to be the contained guy, okay? Force them back inside. And this might be a situation where I pinch my defensive line, maybe crash them inside, And then let's see what can happen here, right? Boom. And I really want to try my hardest to force them back inside by swooping with that top guy. Run defense can be hard, but I think by doing it like this, it's a really simplified way. And then some formations are better and worse against the run than others, right? Now, boom, there's an example. I would really try my best to swoop all the way around with this deep safety. Now, it's important to keep in mind that if they go and end up passing the ball, right, you got to either get back or switch stick down onto an underneath defender. And that brings me to our next thing I want to talk about, which is switch sticking. This is a brand new feature brought into college football 25, and it is actually one of the biggest things ever, and one of the biggest reasons why I want you guys back in the 3 basic coverages: Tampa 2, cover 3 sky, and cover 4 quarters drop version, right? And the reason we want this is because switch stick is so powerful. So let me show you this really fast. Let's go into just a basic defense here. I'm gonna spy my defensive line. Now we have our user right here, right? If I snap this ball, if I click the right stick in a direction, my user's actually gonna switch. So if I click to the right, I'm this guy. Let's say I want to get on that top right safety, right? Boom, I'm here. Let's say I want to get to the middle. Boom, I'm here. It's all by just tapping and flicking the stick in a direction. This is massive. I'll show you actually kind of a real world application for this where you can really start utilizing it. Is one, when you're using the deep middle third against run defense, because you can just switch down and get off of the middle third. But 2, let's say they're doing something like this, where they're throwing this corner out to the left quite a bit. Let's go here. Let's say they're hitting that corner route a lot, okay? What we can actually do here, and this is massive, when you get this down, it is really, really cool. Let's go snap this ball. Oh my gosh, boom. They go to throw this corner route, and you have the potential to actually switch stick up right there. Try to do it 2 controllers, so do forgive me if I'm a little rough at doing it. But something like this, boom, snap the ball. Oh, corner route, I'm there, right? And then you have the ability to play up, play down, etc., etc. Or you could do that with, if they're calling a coverage bomb, right? Let's pretend that they're going, they have this deep post route, and, we're here, and you go, oh my gosh, coverage bomb. Well, now I'm the deep middle third, and I can actually play that guy a little bit better, right? There's a bunch of different real-world applications for this. Let's go something like this. Boom. Oh gosh, I'm there. Boom. Right, we're able to switch all around underneath, which is a massive, massive game changer. The switch stick, dude, like, it is. If you like skill gap, and you always say, oh, this game needs skill gap, this is skill gap right here. It's huge. So the idea behind zone drops is actually really cool, because there's some stuff that's very straightforward. That's like, oh, of course. But then there's some stuff that like you would not know this unless you knew this. So I'm gonna deep dive both. Zone drops, the idea behind them is that you set these bad boys to play exactly where you want them to play. So we want, in this case, our flats would play 25 yards deep. Our curl flats apply to curl flats, quarter flats, and seam flats, 25 yards deep. In this case, 25 yards deep. You could do whatever depth you wanted, though. A really good use case for this would be, let's just give an example here of if you're playing an opponent who keeps on throwing, let's say a post route, right? Let's just give a hypothetical. He's throwing this post route right there, right above your hook curl every single time, right? No matter what you do. Well, easy fix, dude. You're just going to drop your hook curl back to, let's say that's 15 yards. I don't know what that was, but we'll say 15 yards, right? Now, if we do the exact same route combo, you're going to see that that's how we can defend it. This is like the most, like, duh type use case for it, but it's really, really helpful. Now, that post route isn't open, or at least not open in the same spot. Maybe it gets open in a different area, but now that hook curl is defending that area. But what I want you guys to take a look at here is I have my flats set to 25. So these cloud flat, or these outside flats, should play 25 yards deep, right? That's what they were set at. On the left side, I'm going to have a hard flat. On the right side, I'm going to have a cloud flat. On offense here, I'm going to have the same route combo on both sides. So if we look at this, it's the exact same route combo. 2 deep corner routes. Left side hard flat, right side cloud flat. Both should be set to the same distance because they're underneath the flats category. If we snap this ball, notice how they play differently. Like, they play drastically differently. I'll actually show this in instant replay because this is a game changer, and there's a lot of use cases for this, okay? On the left side, we have a hard flat. He turns his hips, and he runs back to the depth he's supposed to. This is 30 yards deep. Now, the corner route gets over him, but it's because he's 30 yards deep. Now, if we look across, where's our other flat? Our cloud flat backpedals. He only backpedals. So what this means is that hard flats dropped to 30 are better at getting deep than a cloud flat is, right? Now, he still makes the play, but look at where the hard flat is in comparison, right? Way deeper. And this is actually opposite. Whoops. This is actually opposite of what the, or not opposite, but this is like goes against what the coaching adjustments show. Because if we look at this at the top, we see that flat set to 25 overrides the drop depth for hard flat, quad flat, and soft squat zones. Yet hard flats do a much better job of getting back deep when zone drop than quad flats. And then curl flats also do a really good job. So if we showcase this, let's go kind of same idea. And now we do 2 curl flats on both sides. We can kind of show what a curl flat does from the inside, set to 25. They do a good job. The corner route on both sides was defended. So that can be really good for defending corner routes and other things of that nature, right? Deep crossers, anything like that. That's kind of how you want to do it, with zone dropped to 25 or 30, hard flats or curl flats. They do a great job. That's a really advanced tip, by the way. So being honest, blitzing is a hard thing to discuss in a video like this. One, it gets into a lot of like AI manipulation because you're manipulating the offensive line. And then 2, just blitzes a lot of times get patched and can change a ton, which will make this video or this segment potentially irrelevant. So I'm gonna go over some things that will always be true in this, okay? First and foremost, if you're blitzing, you want your blitzers to be close to the line of scrimmage. That sounds like obvious, but the amount of blitzes, people blitzing, I see blitz from back here. Who cares if this guy even comes in? I have all day, and I'm able to make whatever read right there. I don't, because I suck at using 2 controllers, but it's a delayed blitz. You don't want those in this game. You want this guy right up on the line of scrimmage, or at very least coming from around here rather than way out here. That is a huge, huge, huge deal. And ideally, the defense you choose always looks like you're blitzing at some degree, right? It always has some sort of blitz threat that the offense has to be aware of. A really good one would be something like this. And then let's see if we can actually make a little blitz happen. Boom. Kind of. There's a little something, something. The next key to blitzing is that we have to use our user to distract the offensive line. The way we can do this is, let's actually do it. So let's get this guy over here. This little blitzing concept for you that should be good. Okay, we'll take our user and stand right here. The offensive line has to respect our user, right? Because he could be blitzing. So if we take our user and then we like swoop inside, you'll actually see it. We don't get it totally right there. But to just explain the concept without going super deep to you guys, the idea is that this guard or one of the offensive linemen has to suck inside with my user, right? And you kind of see that with the lineman. He kind of hesitates for a second. And then with that, you're able to get pressure to come along the outside. Right there, we don't do a great job of it, but that's the general idea of using your user to distract the offensive line. Let's see if I can actually get a good clip right here of doing it. We got it the first time, actually. We go here, we swoop back inside, and we do not distract them at all, so that won't work. We have to distract them with our user by getting close to the line of scrimmage. Let's try it this time this way. Again, blitzes take a lot of lab work to figure out the best ones, and you also have to have like run defense from them. Blitzes are hard, like they really are. Let's go snap. Can we distract the offensive line at all? We get a little bit of edge pressure off that right edge where they do a little bit of a loop, and he is able to come free, and we end up collapsing the pocket along with that. That is the general idea behind blitzing without going into stuff that can easily get patched. If you want me to dig deeper in blitzing in a future video, let me know. And if you got value from this video, make sure you check out this one right here where I break down 10 tips that every college football 25 player just needs to know. Again, if you got value from this one, you're going to love this one right here.